What's good, people? Once again, it's your boy Uncle Fred. Not gonna talk about a whole lot tonight. Just talking about, yay, the gang's all back. The band's all here. Not a good thing, fam. Not a good thing. And then are the Cowboys their own worst enemy? Are we set up for dubious things? We're gonna talk about that. And are we the Kardashians? We're gonna talk about that here in just a minute. Y'all hang tight with your boy, and we're gonna talk about this thing here in just a minute.
2 times on the beat, bitch.
What's good, people? It's your boy Uncle Fred, back in the house, back in the saddle, one more again for the fifth consecutive night. Which this is, man, this is coming too much like a real job, man. Uh, hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Become a part of Uncle Fred Sports Experience. I guarantee you, you not, will not be disappointed. Just gonna hit on a couple things. Just kind of, we still rocking and reeling after Sunday. We kind of had to steady the ship there for a couple of days and kind of come to the realization of some stuff, man. And it's sometimes when things hit you the way they hit you, it takes you a while to get over it, man. It's sort of like, I mean, I want to compare it to the death of a loved one, but it's sort of the, it's sudden and it's like a rock, man, hitting you. And then you like, okay, how do I feel about that? And then you run through all the raw emotions at first, man. You're mad, you're angry, you punching air, you're doing all those things, um, and then, as I said in my video Monday night, you sleep on that thing, and then you start like looking. So, okay, what can we really do to really, you know, make meaningful change in terms? So we're not feeling this way the first week or second week in January in 2025. Okay, if we're all blessed to be here. Okay. What could the Cowboys do? What could the front office do? So those things that we're feeling right now, so this feeling that we're feeling right now, we're not feeling that next year around the same time. Okay. Now, what we said in Tuesday night's video, and I was like, man, I did a video every night, man. This is crazy. It's crazy to me. I'm like, phew, I need to start getting paid for this. Uh, you can't bring everybody back, man. You just can't, because what did we say last night? We thought it was a bad night on last night. We came back last night and we said, okay, we found out that they had met on Wednesday, 3 hours, we found out, and they decided to bring Mike McCarthy back. Now, I gave you some positives on that and some negatives as to why that was a bad idea, a good idea to a certain degree, and then the 4 or 5 reasons why it's a bad idea. We said that, he got 1 year left in his contract, and it's just a nice, even bowl to let him play this one last year, coach this one last year on his contract, and then just kind of see where the thing goes from that point. But and so and just not get him the contract. Well, the thing is, because you do that, you kind of like set us up for failure uh, because first of all, you got a 1 year contract. You basically a lame duck, and Mike Fisher talked about that today on his video this morning at 7:25, and I always like to give credence or give credit or give point some credit to other cowboy content creators when I get information. So Mike Fisher, who's in there in the Star and talking to these folks, he's probably the only content creator that we have in our group that actually goes across the street to the Star and actually talks to Mike, talks to Jerry, talks to Steven, and talks to Will, talks to those folks, right? And talks to the players. So he has an access that you get for informational purposes. The only problem with Mike is that a lot of times you have to kind of listen to him and kind of understand what he's saying and then kind of like encapsulate, well, what is he really not saying? Because, he can't go as far as some of us go because we can say certain things. We ain't got to worry about Jerry cutting us off from access because we ain't got access to start with. But he has access. And that's part of his thing is to have access, to go over there and talk to him and whatnot. So he can't cut off his nose to spite his face. So when I listen to Mike, I'm getting information. I'm getting what is the front office, what is Jerry, what is Steven, what is Will, what is Mike, what are they thinking? What are they actually feeling? Okay. And that's what I get from him. But then, when the thing comes at where we got to start criticizing Jerry, he kind of stops just short of that. And I understand why he does that. Now, he did say in his video yesterday, or was that this morning? It might have been this morning, that he did not recommend that they bring Mike back because it's like, what are we doing here? Because because like I said last night, there's such a bad taste in everybody's mouth that you couldn't bring everybody back. Okay, so I kind of looked at the and he talked about and Mauricio on A to Z Sports, another content creator from A to Z Sports or whatever, and that's the same organization that produces Will Skywalker Steel in the morning, which I watch that every morning about 8:30. Okay, so I'm consuming cowboy content all day so that I can bring you guys stuff when I do videos. And I won't just be pulling this stuff out of the air. I'm listening to different things and I'm watching news feeds and stuff like that. So people, so you kind of know what's really going on out there, right? So anyway, he mentioned that there was a press conference today. And see, that's the thing that gets me. Because we know this is a controversial thing to bring Mike McCarthy back. Because after that performance, and like I said before, had they lost 35-31, everybody would be like, okay, it was a couple of plays here or there. We were right there. Even though that team probably not good as all right, we're good, Mike. You can get, come on back for your second year play call and we can get this thing right. But dude, they were just totally demoralized, man. All right, to the point where, dang, you can't bring that guy back, man. Right? That's the way it was looking, right? So it's a controversial move to bring him back. I like it how when there's a controversial move like that Jerry ain't in front of the firing squad answering them questions. He sends Mike out there. Okay? So Mike has to sit there and explain why it's a smart thing to bring him back after that debacle we saw Sunday. So these are the things that Mike said. And then we're going to get to, because the thing says about the band coming on back, and we're going to tell you there's some other things going on too. So Mike McCarthy, this is coming from Frisco, Texas. This is written by Schuler Dixon of the AP, who wrote this report coming out of Frisco, Texas. And it says, Mike McCarthy sifted through several versions of selling his belief that the Dallas Cowboys can find a level of postseason success. So Mike is actually in front of the people, kind of, he's in front of the firing squad. Now, I think Jerry needs to be in front of the firing squad because you're the one that made this decision. But he can go back up in his hole and send Mike down to see who's at the door and take all the arrows, right? So anyway, this is what Mike had to say. And I just want y'all to think about this. And we're going to get into some other things. The coach faced reporters a day after a meeting with Jerry and owner Stephen Jones. I think they met for like 3 hours on Wednesday, right? And it ended with him agreeing that Mike McCarthy would return for a 5th season, all right? Despite a stunning wild card loss to the Green Bay Packers. I think that's putting it mildly. That's like, one of the worst losses. If you mean stunning wild card victory, if it instead of that you meant the worst playoff loss and the 63 year, 64-year history of the Dallas Cowboys, then you would be right. The Cowboys won the NFC East. They entered the postseason with a chance to play at least 2 home games. They had a 16-game winning streak. So all these things going, they exited as the first number 2 seed to lose a conference game, lose a conference last team in since the 14-team format, which started in 2020. So that's when they started this new format. I think it's around the same the year before they went to the 17-game format, I think, or maybe the same year. Dallas trailed by as many as 32 points in the fourth quarter of a 48-32 loss to the Packers. This is what Mike said. We have established. Thank you guys for joining. I see a couple in the chat. I'm just kind of like, meandering around a little bit as we, get to the main crux here. Y'all just kind of get in and settle. We have established a championship program. It's just not a world championship yet. Yeah, that's interesting. We have established a championship program. If by that you mean we've established that we're a good regular season team, just not a championship team. If that's what you mean, yes. Okay. McCarthy told a PAC News conference Thursday, we know how to win. We know how to train to win. We have the right people. Okay. Didn't look like that Sunday, but okay. We have not crossed the threshold winning playoff games. Shoot, you ain't even got to the door. You mean crossed the threshold. You ain't even got to the house yet, right? McCarthy said it's extremely disappointing to be sitting here talking about, right? And I'm sure that's true. I agree with him on that one. But I know how to win. Again, he said that again. He said that. That's the second time he said that. We know how to win. I know how to win. Okay. And that's why I'm standing here today. Okay. I have total confidence in that. Okay. I know how to win. We will get over that threshold. I have total confidence, and that's why I'm standing here today. Okay. And I'm assuming those reporters had to stifle a smirk when they heard that. Get their butt kicked. Jerry liked to settle for the mediocre puppet coaches to go. Look, since McCarthy's been here, yes, they put up a lot of wins, and points. But when they face tough teams, most every time, even in regular season, they get their butts kicked. Now, CW, that you're right about that. Okay, you're right about that. And that all comes back to a mentality thing. That comes from somewhere. But we're moving on here. He says now McCarthy won a Super Bowl and went to 3 other NFC Championship games in 12 plus years as the coach of the Packers. That's why Jones hired him in 2020 after 10 years of watching Jason Garrett's team fail to get past the divisional round. And, of course, in 4 years here, we failed to get past the divisional round. We only got 6 to go, right, to get even to Jason, right? The most recent time Dallas reached the NFC Championship game was in the last of its 5 Super Bowl titles in the end of the 1995 season, which is 29 years ago. While McCarthy has to own being the coach of the first team to win, as I said yesterday, the coach to win 3 straight 12-game seasons and not to reach a conference championship. And that's just, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. A bit better version of Jason Garrett. Yeah, I would agree to that. Okay. I would definitely agree to that. He goes on to say, and I guess when asked about, this team has not, it's sort of like a ceiling or sort of like a glass ceiling that this team has reached for the past almost 30 years. But he goes on to say, I'm not going to take I'm taking no responsibility, and I've talked to players too, and they have no responsibility in what's gone on here in the 20 plus years before this point. A lot of these players weren't even born the last time the Cowboys went to an NFC Championship game, so they don't hold no responsibility to this, but they are here now, okay? And they got an opportunity to change that narrative, but have yet to do so, right? McCarthy said, we're responsible for what's going on to the program now. I know it's disappointing to the fans, but we are in position to learn and grow from this and build on it. McCarthy said in his meeting with Jones Wednesday that for about 3 hours, which I said earlier, afterwards, Jones issued a statement saying McCarthy would return, and he went back up in his bunker. While Jones made several references to the disappointment of the playoff loss, he says there was great benefit to continuing the team's progress under Mike's leadership. In other words, a great benefit of keeping the status quo. A great benefit to who? To us or to you maintaining your thumb over the thing the way it has been run, or maintaining the status quo? What is it a benefit to? Okay. Mike didn't think the meeting was about making a case for keeping his job. Maybe he's been told he's gonna keep his job, or maybe he's been told, it's gonna get some rocky and rough. Don't worry about it. You're gonna keep the job. But then that makes, when you talk to the fans, when you talk to the reporters, you got to stand in front of them arrows. He's an awesome boss, but he's an even better leader, McCarthy said of Jones. Of course he's gonna say that. Of course he's gonna say that. What are you supposed to say? What's he supposed to say? Right? What's he supposed to say? He's an awesome boss, but an even better leader. He asks all the hard, direct questions, which I love and appreciate because you get a depth into the conversations. I don't know if there's much we didn't talk about as far as the topics that apply to the football operation. Okay. Jones' statement makes no mention of an extension for McCarthy, which that will be stupid. But again, that sort of sets us up for failure, and I'll tell you why here in just a minute. McCarthy, who's going to the final year of his contract, McCarthy didn't want to discuss what it means for his future. I never talk about a player's contract or a coach's contract. So I'm not going to start today. And he also said, and I think when he was talking to James Slater, I didn't come here for a second contract. I came here to win championships, which that sounds good. And I'm glad he said that, because as of right now, you're not getting no second contract. They're basically dangling that out in front of you like in front of a horse, right? It's like a carrot. They're dangling that in front of you. I'm gonna get to that, CW. I'm gonna get to that. About defensive teams that Quinn, he's majorly overrated. Okay, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. So let's see here. I think that's pretty much all. McCarthy's 4 seasons, Dallas was his first as quarterback. Dak Prescott's play caller, while Prescott led the NFL with 36 touchdowns, had a career best completion rate of almost 70%, 69.5 to be exact, and continued on a pattern of spotty postseason play. Prescott is 2-5 in the playoffs. I have unbelievable belief in Dak, McCarthy said. I think he is clearly has another step. This offense has suited him well. The growth opportunity, we're really looking forward to the future. Okay. All right. That's enough on that, because I think we pretty much have done all we can do with that. Okay. So they are they're coming back. Okay. Eric L. As long as we got Jerry Jones on Jim, the Cowboys will do nothing in the playoffs. Okay. Good. Yeah, you're right. All right. And y'all, those that just joined with you, welcome to the Uncle Fred's Rants stream for Thursday. What day is this? Oh, January 18th. Days and ran together. I've been off work for like 4 days, and I'm kind of these days all running together on a brother. Don't know what day it is, what date it is. But anyway, let's talk about that, because we talked about that on yesterday, and we talked about why those is a good reason, is a good purpose for that, for the simple purpose that he got 1 year left, and it's the first year he actually has to be the actual play caller that's in Dak's ear, that he's actually working with Dak. And this is a shame that he didn't get that opportunity his first or second year in. Maybe this will be Dak's fourth year with him. And, instead of his first year, anytime you got a first year with anything, you got to work out the kinks, work out the bugs, work out all the stuff. Cause it's, the offense is supposed to be totally different from what Kellen Moore was doing, supposed to be. But a lot of times in crunch time, it looked the same, but here's the thing. And I've heard here that, and so we found out that Dak's probably coming back because the contract situation is such that you probably gonna have to extend him, because you don't want to have 59 million of the salary cap going. I mean, that's not how much money he's gonna make. That's just how much his salary cap impact is. He makes the same money, but the salary cap is a weird thing. So, but because in order to do something with Dak, in terms of like moving him or something, you still have to eat that salary cap, and that would make it where you only get 224 million in the salary cap. So that would make it where, because that's, if you look at that, that's basically almost a fourth of very little more than a fourth of the whole salary cap money. So what you'd have to do is extend him so it only count like 15, 20 million towards the cap. And then you can sign CeeDee Lamb, you can sign Micah Parsons, you can sign any free agents you want. Because if you didn't sign Dak, then you couldn't sign CeeDee Lamb. Then you would kind of run the risk of the team being 3-14 next year, because you couldn't sign a lot of your major players. And a lot of these guys might like to play for the Cowboys, but if the Cowboys are not in a position to pay them, they're going to go somewhere else. And trust me, somebody will give CeeDee Lamb $29, $30 million to be a receiver, a starting receiver for them. Somebody will give Micah Parsons $35 million a year to be their star defensive player. And we've just got to be able to retain those players. So that's the way they're looking at that. But I want to talk about this, though. Dan Quinn, as he's we've coming off this bad loss. Dan Quinn is interviewing with 4 potential teams, and it says 5, but I had heard 4, because I had heard the Carolina Panthers, Washington Commanders, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Tennessee Titans. Okay, those were the 4 teams. So those are the teams. Now it's saying here it's 5 teams, according to Sports Illustrated. It's 5 teams that he's looking at. So I don't know what other team that he's looking at other than those 4 that we just talked about. Because New England, New England's already hired their coach with Gerard Mayo. So they've already got their coach. And so we know the Chargers, that would be a good fit for him. But I know that they're really looking at Jim Harbaugh. Okay. And I know Seattle, I guess that's the 5th one, the Seattle Seahawks. I didn't even think about that one. That's the one that I think he's had some success in the interviewing process, because that's where he spent a lot of time as defensive coordinator and helping build, along with Gus Bradley, that Legion of Boom defense that went to 2 Super Bowls in 2013 and 2014. So, but here's the thing: the word on the street is that if he does not get one of those jobs, and I'm going to tell you right now, he's not getting the Washington Commanders job. And then the Atlanta Falcons, I forgot about that one. But that one's pretty much Bill Belichick's to lose, right? In my opinion, in my humble opinion. Okay. That one's Bill Belichick's to lose. So he is probably a front runner for the Seattle job, probably a sort of a kind of front runner for the Chargers job, because he'll get to work back with Kellen Moore, who they were offensive and defensive coordinators, partner coordinators when they was with us. He'd get a chance to work with him there. And they got defensive weapons. I mean, you got a bunch of dudes on that defense, man, with Bosa and Mack and Derwin James and Sante Samuel Jr. And there's a bunch of good defensive players on that. Keith Murray. There's some good players on that defense that Dan Quinn could work with. So I get all that. So that would be obviously a good opportunity for him too. What I'm hoping is he get one of them jobs, okay? Because the word on the street is that he doesn't secure one of them jobs. And I'm going to go ahead and say that he's not taking that Carolina job because he's not taking a job that's not better than the job he currently has. He's going to get paid probably the same amount as he would get paid in any of these jobs. He's getting paid head coach money right now. I don't have his contract information in front of me, but in order to have retained him the last couple of years, Jerry had to up the ante or he wouldn't have kept him. He wouldn't have been able to keep him. So what's to keep you from taking that Denver job, from taking that Chicago job, from taking that Minnesota job? Well, I got to give you head coach money. Okay. So he's probably getting head coach money. And he's got, until Sunday, he had a covering because any problems he was going to have. And I see a couple more joining the chat. Welcome to the Uncle Fred's live stream for Thursday the 18th. And we're just talking about, Mike McCarthy coming back and the potential that Dan Quinn is coming back. Because up until Sunday, he always had covering. Anytime the team came up short, it was always either Dak's fault or Mike McCarthy's fault, or you can always blame Jerry Jones, which he's always an easy scapegoat, because I'm not saying he don't deserve that. But never was nobody criticizing Dan Quinn. Man, how many times have I listened to content creators and I listened to them and I kind of believed them. In Dan Quinn, I trust. In Dan Quinn, I trust. In Dan Quinn, I trust. I heard that so many times, and it's only been in the last like 2-3 weeks of this especially starting at the Buffalo game. I think that's when the Dan Quinn criticism started to materialize, when the Bills ran for like 266 yards on us, and we never had any answers for that. We never made any adjustments to that. They were running 12 and 13. I don't know if 13 personnel is 3 tight ends or whatever, but I know 2 tight ends is 12 personnel. But they kept running those big packages out there, and we kept running with nickel and dime packages, and they kept running the ball down our throats. So it wasn't until that game teams started looking at, dang, what is Dan doing? And then, the game against the Dolphins, Dak Prescott walks off the field with a 1-point lead with a minute and 43, a minute and whatever left on the clock. And all they got to do is keep him out of field goal range. What does Miami do? They walk right down the field and kick a field goal and win it 22 to 21, 22, 22-21. It was a 21-20. It's one of the two. I can't remember. And then in the Detroit Lions game, we had a 21-20 lead, and then 20-13 lead. And then Dan Quinn puts out the softest of coverages and allowed the Lions to go right down the field in about 3-4 plays without really any opposition, without pushing back any. And that's when people started looking at him sideways. And it wasn't for a botched up call on the the 2-point conversion, which we all know that really came down to a missed call on the tripping call. That really, if that had been called correctly, wouldn't even came to that. But I'm digressing. That we might have lost that game also, right? So ever since the Buffalo game, he's kind of come under some kind of fire. And then you get to the game Sunday, and that was just a complete farce, playing zone, tight ends running wide open in the middle of the field, nobody within 17.2 yards of him. So then, up until then, Dan had the best job in the NFL. I'm making $6-7 million a year as a defensive coordinator, calling a weird defense that nobody else is running to the level that I'm running it at. And really, I'm not getting any scrutiny because Jerry, Dak, and Mike get all the stuff. And it's up until now that, people are starting to give him any criticism. But the word on the street is if he don't get one of them jobs, like I said, if he don't get the Seattle job, that's the one I think he's the most in line for. He doesn't get that job. There's a good chance. Brace yourselves, people. Grab a hold of your furniture. Don't throw anything. Don't break that vase. There's a chance that Dan Quinn could be right back on our defensive coaching staff. That's word on the street. And that would mean the gang's all here. The thing I said that Monday night that you could not do, you could not, in a clear conscience, do, you could not conceivably do, you could not bring back either Mike, Dak, or Dan. You could not bring back all three of them because the fans will kill you. Okay. Those fans were livid Sunday evening when that game was when they were booing. I've never heard them boo in AT&T Stadium before. They booed them. The Cowboys got booed. Okay. And I said yesterday, had they had opportunities to throw stuff, they would have been throwing stuff. Okay. You can't bring the whole gang back. You just can't do it. And if he don't get one of these head coaching jobs to suit his fancy, and if all the creeks dry up except the Carolina job, the Carolina offers him the job, he's not taking that job. Nobody wants to work for David Tepper. He's going to be right back on our coaching staff. And the gang is all back. Now, I'm not telling y'all if they do that to boycott the Cowboys, because I'm gonna still follow them. I'm going to still love them. I'm going to still follow them. I'm going to still watch the games. I'm going to still do what I'm doing right now. But I'm not going to look at them the same. You just can't look at them the same because you got to wonder, are you comfortable keeping the thing as it is, or are you all in on trying to win? And if you're not all in on trying to win, then just say that. All right, just say it. We're not all in. We like the status quo. We like making money. We like, being one of the group. We like being one of the handful of teams that are in the tournament. Okay, we don't really care that we win it. We just want to be in that number, as the old gospel song says. When the Saints come back, I just want to be in the number. When the Saints go marching in, I don't want to be the one holding the trophy. I just want to be in the number. So if that's your case, because we talked about if the goal, we're still in line to reach our goal. Well, then if your goal is to hold up a Lombardi, then it would seem to me that it wouldn't be wise to bring the entire gang back. Okay. That would seem to me, to Uncle Fred. I'm not saying I'm the smartest man in the world, but it would seem to me that wouldn't be the smartest thing to do, to bring the entire gang back. But I want y'all to see something here. And we're not going to be on much longer. I like to. A lot of my stuff is aimed at a lot of the stuff is aimed at a lot of these different groups that and I'm trying to find this. I had it bookmarked here, and I seem to have not found it here. Let me hang on just a second. Let me find that, because I said something in a Cowboys group that I'm a part of. It's called the Dallas Cowboys Daily. It was in Dallas Cowboys Daily. Okay. And this guy made a comment that sometimes I'll look at stuff and I'll just let it pass by. And I'll let it pass me by like water on a duck's back. But I couldn't resist this one. Okay, I had to jump in there because they were celebrating Jerry Jones. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you what they said if I can just find it. And because what I said at the time um, was interesting because um, in the comparison that I made was the same comparison that another sports writer said on the exact same day that I thought the same thing. Just let you know that, us in this, in this field, when we're becoming critical of the Cowboys, if you will, we that gummit, come on now. Here it is. Here it is right here. Here it is right here. I found it. Okay. Took me a while, but I found. I'm going to read it to you what the post said. It is from in the Facebook group, the Dallas Cowboys Daily, which I'm a part of that group. I post my videos into there and comments to that, and I talk and chat with folks in there. So I'm always in and about the Cowboys community, right? So anyway, this guy said something. This guy named, well, I'm not going to say his name, but he said, I want to say something to all you guys that continually criticize Jerry Jones as being a bad GM, bad owner, or what have you. I want you to truly look at things and look at what Jerry Jones has done over the past 27, 28 years. All he has done is put together some pretty damn talented rosters, draft some great, great players, and keep us in contention pretty much every year in and year out over those 27 and 28 years. Yes, we haven't won a Super Bowl. We've fallen short quite a number of times. Yeah, pretty much every time. Um, um, due to coaching or due to the lack of exceptional game out of players. See how you bringing that down the levels to the lower level limbs instead of reaching up into the tree. He's putting it down on players, right? Um, so it says here, but we are usually right there in the mix and in the playoffs with an opportunity to advance at hand. Not too many organizations can say that. How many absolute dumpster fire seasons have we had? The answer is not many at all. We've had 2, 3, maybe 4 seasons over that span where we went 5-11 or somewhere around it. No, we went 5-11 on 3 consecutive seasons. That was like 2001, 2002, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. Okay. And then we went 6-10 in 2004 and, 3-10, 6-10 in 2010. And we had a lot of subpar seasons. I don't know where he's going with that. But anyway, let's move on here. Most of them were due to the starting quarterback going down for the season, or were season 2 right after Aikman or Emmett and Irvin retire. Other than that, we're always in contention or at least at the cusp of it. Jerry does not receive nearly enough credit for what he does, and it's sad to me. There aren't many teams that can say that. They have been pretty much always in contention or right there at the cusp of it. For that span of time, he is always trying his hardest to win. He's always looking for ways to better the team and get them to the top. All he wants and strives for is to win. Bad management is when your team is absolute gutter for years and years, and we don't have that. We have a guy in Jerry Jones that puts us heart and soul into the team every year and wants them to be great. Jerry gets a bad rap a lot of times because the media paints him the way that they do, when in reality it's a totally different story. Jerry deserves some respect for what he does. There aren't many owners that put in as much work and effort as he does. That dude put a lot of time and effort into that. A lot of time and effort in that. And while I agree with the fact that for the most part we draft well, but that ain't attributed to Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones ain't picking players. That's a Will McClay thing. Okay, that's a Will McClay thing. I'm telling you right now, Jerry Jones couldn't go to a combine and tell you who to draft. I promise you he can't do that. Okay, that's a Will McClay thing. He's the draftman, acquisitions expert, but basically he can't do any more than hey, I recommend this guy and they'll go get him. Okay, here's what your boy said in response. Your boy, meaning moi, because I couldn't sit there and take that one. Okay, I'm like, I'll be danged. I'll be danged. I'll be like, I'll be danged. I'm not letting that. I can't let that go. All right. Let me tell you what your boy said. As soon as I find my response, and let me tell you, this is where this thing is. All right. Yeah. As soon as I find my response, I'm gonna tell you what your boy said, because your boy had a lot to say if they didn't take me down. Here it is. This is what your boy said. Y'all can find this on Dallas Cowboy Daily. This is what your boy said. No offense, but that is the most naive take on the Jerry Jones administration that I have ever heard. The only thing I'll give Jerry credit for is keeping the Cowboys relevant. But you can be relevant for the wrong reasons. You've heard of people being famous just for being famous, haven't you? And I put in parentheses the Kardashians. And you keep that in mind because that's going to come up in a minute. So you could call us the Dallas Kardashians. And we have dubious relevant stats during this 29-year vacuum. Like we're the only team to win 12 years in 3 consecutive years, which is hard to do, not to reach the conference championship game. We've also had expansion teams with more playoff wins than us over that same period, which is the Texans, who've got 5 and we only got 4. Here's one. The 2 QBs with the worst winning playoff percentage over the past 20 years. Okay? You guessed it. Tony Romo and Dak Prescott. The hits just keep on coming. And in order for the Cowboys to do anything more than just generate commerce and headlines, is to remove Jerry Jones from being the GM, which you know that's not going to happen. No one in any ownership group should be GM or coach because there are no checks and balances and no accountability. We could go 0-17 and he'd still be the GM. Think about that. And we'd accept it. Okay? Detroit went 0-16 and they cleaned house, as they should have. In 29 years, coaches have come and gone, players too. There's been one constant. Wake up, people. That's what your boy said. Okay? That's what your boy said. Okay? Now, I'm not saying I'm any smart person or anything like that, but those are the things that come to my mind. You know, I know people there's people always want to make it the low-hanging fruit. Oh, yeah, it's always Dak Prescott. It's always Tony Romo. It's always bad coaching and all these sorts of things. But these players have came and gone. You know, Tony Romo, for all the stuff you say about him, Tony Romo made some dang gum good throws in a lot of good games. He played some good football for a lot of years for the Cowboys. Okay. Just don't know if he was ever put in the right position. But I think a lot of times Tony Romo was led to believe in his own press clippings. Bill Parcells was telling them from the get-go, hey, put the anointing oil away. But soon as Bill Parcells went away, it's like, yeah, young buck, do your thing. And he was allowed to feel like he was really better than he was. And it wasn't until 2014 when they started like, hey, man, let's take the ball out of his hand, let's not have him throwing the ball 40, 50 times. Let's have him have a complement of a running game, give him a little bit of defense, and let's see what happens. And I still think that 2014 team was the best team we've had since the 90s team. Okay. And I'll say the same thing about Dak. If you build that team around Dak Prescott right, and you not have it all fall on his shoulders, and we play a team game, I think this team could win. But you got to coach that. You got to put that in the playbook, you know. So this is something. This is something that came today, and it's a report that was written by, and I want you to listen to. I want you to listen to. Let's see here. Let's see here. Where is that other report? Let's see if I can find that. I think this is it right here. Come on. Where's my tab? Let's see. It's basically, it was saying, it was from Dallas. It was from I want to say it was SI.com report. And if I can't find it, I'm just gonna paraphrase it because I had it right here and I had it on my tabs. Let's see here. Okay, is this it? This it? Might be, maybe, kinda, sorta. But anyway, it goes on to say, are we responsible for the Cowboys the delusion that they suffer from or what have you? Are we responsible for that? And it went on to say that the Cowboys have become a reality show. And he says, basically, the Cowboys are the Kardashians. And I sat there and I'm like, my mind was blown. I just said that. I had said that about an hour earlier. And I had not even read this article. But this guy said the same thing. He said the same thing, that the Cowboys are a reality show. And I know, you know what? I'm going to put that in the search window and pull up the article. And tell you what it says, because some good information in that particular article. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. Right here. I don't know why I got lost in my daggum thing here. We'll close that. I don't know why. But it goes on to say, let's see here. That's not it either. That isn't it. That's talking about the cheerleaders. That's not it. That's not the. But I just thought it was interesting that I pointed out that the Cowboys really are like the Kardashians. I thought that was just interesting. That because the Cowboys have become famous just for being the Cowboys. Cowboys have become famous just for becoming just the Cowboys. And so, it ain't like they're because I've heard it so many times that the Cowboys. Here we go. Here it is from the Dallas Morning News. Here it is. I know I'd find it. Jerry Jones has turned the Dallas Cowboys into reality TV show. Are fans to blame? I knew I would find it if I kept plugging away. He says, he goes on to say, this is written by a guy named Kerry Sherrington of the Dallas Morning News. Okay. He says, one of my favorite quotes from the Mike McCarthy victory lap at the start after announcement he come back for a fifth year came from when he called the Cowboys a championship team. It's just not a world championship yet. Got to admire the chutzpah or the cojones, if you will. Either you're a championship team or you're not. And he goes on to say that's like being either you're pregnant or you're not. Okay, ain't no such thing as being kind of pregnant, right? So he goes on to say, as I open the chat back up here, y'all can be free to come on and say all the stuff. Let's see here. When the Cowboys go marching out, say, Crypt Keeper, I didn't know you was here tonight. The Cowboys go flopping out. Jerry Jones does not respect the coaching staff. He interrupts them in meetings, overrides. Roland Estrada, appreciate you joining us tonight. He interrupts team meetings, overrides the coach's authority. The players see this and do the same, just making a team into an individual player goals. Ain't much difference in a 5-11 season and have a pathetic loss in the playoffs, right? It is a dumpster fire when Jerry compares the team to the Super Bowl. Right. Should be what Cowboy fans should be settling for. I'm listening to all these chats. Who is your NBA team, sir? He's asking to me. I have a couple that I watch and I appreciate. I have a historic team that I like, and it's the Philadelphia 76ers. That goes back to the 70s. I started enjoying sports around 77, 78, and when Dr. J was the cream of the crop. He was the best player in the NBA. He was Michael Jordan before Michael Jordan was. He was a class personified. He was just smooth and cool, a cool customer. He just couldn't win a championship until they put a good team around him. And so I kind of started following them. And later, I started liking the Golden State Warriors because I like the way they play basketball. I like the free flowing and the ball movement that they employ, and I like the selfishness and the coolness of Steph Curry. So I like those teams, but I like and appreciate other teams as well. The Kardashians are a good combat. I just thought it was interesting that I said the exact same thing, CW, and this guy wrote this article. It's sort of like we was reading off the same sheet of music. That's all I'm saying. He goes on to say, and he goes on to say he would take no responsibility for the 24 years the Cowboys failed, which y'all said that now that McCarthy, Dak Prescott, the general manager, have been cleared of charges, it appears that the only losers in this sordid mess are us, the fans, right? Another dog and pony show has come and gone at the Star. We're right where it all started in 1989 with Jerry in charge and everybody else getting in line or trying to make sense of it all. That's where we find ourselves today in our 5th day of making videos, trying to make sense of all of this foolishness. That's where we are right now. We're trying to make sense of all of this. Okay. So it says here, of course, the easy thing to do is blame Jerry for all this, but that goes without saying by now, doesn't it? I mean, I can't type the same thing over and over again without it ending with the Jack Nicholson in The Shining. So let's, Jack end up like Jack Nicholson in the Shining. So let's look at this another way. He goes on to say, here. What if the problems are you and me? No matter what the Cowboys do on or off the field, good or bad or awful, people can't get enough. And he's right about that. It's not football, it's a reality show. Our David Moore calls the Cowboys the Kardashians of the NFL. And I'm like, woo, boy. That felt good because I'm like, wow, that was right along the lines of what I had said about 2 hours earlier before I even saw this article. The Cowboys are the Kardashians of the NFL, meaning they're famous just for being famous. And Jerry is the most Kardashian of them all. Minutes after the Cowboys exit Sunday, a camera looming over the scene outside their locker room found a crush of media awaiting Jerry and his take on the most embarrassing playoff loss in the organization's history. The image perplexed Fox football crew looking on. Howie Long pronounced the Cowboys a unique and complicated organization. Terry Bradshaw added, only in Dallas would you see that. Him, waiting to talk to the media after this embarrassing loss, because a loss like that, you'd be wanting to maybe get out of Dodge. You don't want to, you really want to, because I guarantee you, Jeffrey Lurie didn't want to talk to the media on Monday night. He was waiting to get the heck out of there. Okay. But Jerry never wants to pass up a photo op, a chance to bump his gums, a chance to tell an old war story. He's waiting for that opportunity. Straight up, I wasn't among that crowd Sunday, but the guy that's right that says this. But I've been there before, plenty of times. Say what you will about Jerry, he's good copy. Reporters prize such sources. So basically, the media is the purpose of this, or the reason for that, and us, because they keep giving him a platform in which to do his business. Okay. Reporters prize such resources. Back in 2014, okay, he goes on to talk about a college game here. But he always sets up punchlines. Also, you come closer to the truth than anyone else in his organization in such cluster. In fact, essentially said Jason Garrett was finished. The potential for a good line and breaking news is simply too hard to resist. The problem with providing Jerry this stage, a station he craves, is that it craves an atmosphere unlike any other in the NFL. Michael Strahan, another member of the Fox crew, says it lends a theatrical air in the setting, citing it as an example, an atmosphere for Jimmy Johnson's Ring of Honor induction, all this sort of stuff. Like, let the players play football, Strahan said. They're football players. They're not Broadway performers. Okay? So he goes on to say some other things. Doesn't matter what transpires in any given season, good, bad, or awful, fans still come. The Cowboys went 4-12 in 2015. That's a season somebody should have got fired. Okay, I know Tony Romo got hurt, but you trying to tell me Jason Garrett couldn't win one game of them 8? That Tony Romo was out, and you supposed to be this offensive guru. You couldn't beat Tampa Bay. You couldn't beat Philadelphia. You couldn't beat the Giants. All those teams were bad teams. You couldn't beat any of those teams. And they end up falling to 4-12. That's a fireable offense to me. Okay, to somebody. Okay, but they still drew 90,000 fans. They were 6-10 and 20, and they drew 90,000. That's actually a misnomer because in 2020 was the COVID year, and there weren't any fans. So we're not going to claim that one. Doesn't matter what transpires, but they still come. And in this fall, when McCarthy and Dak and Jerry went back to take another shot at that elusive world championship, they still drew 90,000 fans. Okay, the message to the owner is clear. Doesn't matter what's written in the papers, on online, or what's said in the air. Fans can write letters daily. They can fill my email folder that he's talking about himself and Twitter feed. The world can rant up into the heavens like what I'm doing right now. And Jerry will still do what he wants and we will provide him the pulpit. And fans pay one way or another. That pretty much says it all right there. I'm going to say this and I'm going to close the video. I remember back in 2018, about 5-6 years ago. It was right after we had acquired Amari Cooper, which I thought was amazing that we went out and acquired an outside player. But see, I didn't even understand the outside, getting outside players like that. And I didn't understand that like I do now. But they acquired him, and they had just lost to Washington, which I thought was some bullcrap. They had said Dale Hellestrate moved the football on a made field goal, which would have won the game, which moved them back 5 yards. They missed, and they fell to 3-5 or 3-4. And they had a bye week, and then in that bye week, they acquired Amari Cooper and gave up a first-round pick to the Raiders and got him. And this Monday night game against the Titans was his first game. He had a touchdown and things like that, but we lost 31-14 and looked terrible in doing so. And I had said right there, my wife was witness. She was sitting there right there. She said, yep, he sure said it. I said it right there. I said, I'm done with the Cowboys. These fools don't know how to run nothing. Jerry's always at the forefront of everything. They doing everything. They promise us this, that, and the third. Don't do anything. Here we are. We didn't make the playoffs last year. We're 9-7. We're off to a 3-5 start right now. Of course, we got Amari Cooper and everything. But I was really on emotion. I didn't realize that they needed time to work Amari Cooper in, and he's first time playing with us, first time playing with Dak Prescott and whatnot. I didn't get it. Okay. Cowboys went on to win 7 out of 8. So the season was boiled down into 2 halves. First half, we went 3-5. Second half of the season, we went 7 of 8. Lost 22-0 to the Colts. We went 7-1 in that season. Now, right before Thanksgiving, we traveled down to Atlanta for vacation. And my wife had an opportunity, and it just so happened the Cowboys were playing the Falcons. that particular Sunday before Thanksgiving in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Georgia Dome. It wasn't a Mercedes-Benz Dome. There was still a Georgia Dome. It was still in existence at the time. And she said, hey, I can get us some tickets. You want to go? We're already there. And I said, no, I've committed. I'm not spending, because it would have probably cost us $400, $500, $1,000. Depends on how many, because me, her, and my son or whatever. I'm not giving them that. I'm not giving them that kind of money. Now, I remember earlier in the day, I was down at the hotel. I was down in the dining hall eating breakfast, and I happened to sit at a table with a bunch of Cowboy fans who were in town for the game, and they all had on that Cowboy memorabilia, their shirts and stuff. And I told them, hey, I'm a Cowboy fan too. And they said, oh yeah, we come all the way from, I don't know what part of the country it was. And I was sitting there thinking, dude, you guys spend like $1,000 or more to get here. And then you paying tickets to go to the game. You flew here. A family of 4 or 5 flew here. And then you probably paying $1,000 for the tickets for all 5 of y'all to go to the game. Goodness gracious. It's the outlay that you guys are giving. And then Jerry's doing these foolish things, and I said, and I thought right then, like this guy saying here, it don't matter what he does. We still come. We still shell out the money. So I'm not telling nobody, and so I'm not wearing any cowboy stuff. I'm not saying I'm gonna quit wearing it or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I just put on something I wanted to wear today. And they say I ain't got on no Cowboys hat. I got on the Uncle Fred hat. That's one of my hats. Okay. But dude, we gotta quit. We gotta quit accepting what they hand us. We gotta quit being that battered wife that goes back to that guy. Okay. Or let's flip it the other way. We gotta quit being that guy that the wife is coming home late every night and we keep taking her back. We gotta quit doing that. All right. We gotta quit doing that. Okay. Because he does what he does, and we still buy the $200 jersey. We'll still spend $1,000 of our hard-earned money. You know how hard our money is to come by. I don't know. Maybe you guys are generationally wealthy. The people are watching on my channel. Maybe you guys are wealthy. I'm a normal wage earner. I got a regular job like everybody else, right? I ain't got $1,000 I can just give Jerry. Okay, that sets me back. That's seat cushion money to him. He'll blow that on a card game. All right. I can't give that to him for him to just haphazardly run this and not even take our, whatever into account. I can't do that. Okay. And I encourage y'all to and I'm not saying y'all stop fanning the team. I'm not saying stop watching them. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying at some point y'all got to stop being the fool. Okay. That's all I'm saying. And if I can encourage anybody on anything, just stop being the one to take them back even after they continue to mistreat you. They were serving barbecue outside. I'm not sure what that means. You meaning before the game, after the game? Hey, what's going on, Still Dacking? Hey, man, I'm still here, man. Appreciate you joining us tonight, man. I'm about to wrap it up, though, because I done kind of said all I can say with this, man, and just basically we've come to understand, and if you're joining us late, that, it's a possibility that the Cowboys are going to bring, if he doesn't get one of these jobs, if he don't get a job that suits his fancy, if the Seattle Seahawks don't hire him, if the Washington Commanders don't hire him, or, I'm going to say the Tennessee Titans don't hire him, there's a good chance Dan Quinn comes back, and basically they're going to sell us the same bill of goods. And the same thing that we just saw, the same fiasco, the same train wreck we just saw, they're going to warm this up and reserve this to us next fall. And they're going to package it all up into a nice package. Said, oh, yeah, well, we got another year. We're going to get this thing right. And they may, okay? But you can't fault the fans for looking at them with a side eye. Like, I'll believe it when I see it. Because we done got to a point now that I don't even care what they do in the regular season, fam. I don't care what they do in the regular season. They could go 14-2 in the first 16 games, and we basically will rest everybody for the playoffs. I'm still saying, let me see what y'all do in this first playoff game and see how y'all come out. Let's see how y'all start the game. Let's see how y'all approach the game. Let's see what game plan y'all run. I'm still waiting to see that because I've been burnt too many times. All right? I've been burnt too many times, fam. Been burnt too many times. Um, I don't have $10 to give to Jerry. I bet you do. You just don't want to give it to him. I bet you got. I bet you got a little money, Crypt Keeper. I bet you got a little bit. But I'm just amazed at the amount of money that regular wage earning folks are just coughing up to go watch these games. Don't get me wrong. I love a good NFL game. All right, you know, and I love sports. I love going to watch a good sporting event. You know, I've never had the pleasure of going to AT&T Stadium. That's on my bucket list. At some point, I'm going to do it. I'm just not ready to do that right now. I have had the opportunity to go in a time or two to Bryant Denny and watch an Alabama football game, and that was an experience. They didn't pay a whole lot of money for that. Actually, they pay a thing. Somebody had season tickets, and I was able to get them. You know, yeah, I was blessed to do that. But it was an experience, right? And anybody that's a fan of a team that's gotten a following like that, man, I would encourage you to go do that. It was an experience, and I would imagine going to AT&T Stadium is the same thing. I'm just not willing to pay $75 for parking and paying $40 for a hot dog and whatever and be out of $2,000 and you giving me this garbage on the field because your ego gets in the way. And I'm going to tell you something. The Bible even talks about this in which we close. Pride goes before the fall. Okay? And don't get me wrong, pride can be a good thing. You should pride yourself in doing a good job when you do it. Pride yourself in being, being a good person and doing a good job or doing something to the best of your ability and having pride about it. That's what keeps you doing something well. But when pride makes you seek for self-grandization over the greater good of something else, it's gone too far. Okay. And it means more to Jerry Jones to do things the way he wants to do it than the betterment of the team. That's when pride has gone too far. Now, if the pride was such that, hey, I want to put together the best team I can put out there so we can go and compete, well, fine. I want you to do that. But reality shows when the free agency comes, when it's time to make a move comes, when it's time to make a coaching change comes, he's not willing to do that because that means he would have to give up something. And that article also told you that, and I failed to read it, that the only time Jerry gave up any part of his authoritarian whatever, is when he was trying to get that stadium built because we couldn't get but 65,000 in the Texas Stadium because they had the hole in the roof. Remember? He had to give some of that up for Bill Parcells. And as soon as that was over, Bill Parcells had enough. He said, you ain't going to keep giving me players I don't want. That was the Terrell Owens thing. So, yeah, he'll give it up when it's self-serving, but not for the good of the fans or the good of the team. It's for the good of him, having his bottom line be answered to. So the pride is something else, man. And pride, just like anything else, it'll get away from you. It'll get away from you. And the pride is getting away from you. And just like, and I'm going to give you an example, and we're closing. To me, and I don't, and I have a pride of myself, but man, I'm so humbled to see, I'm looking over the thing and there's 24, 25 people in the stream with me. I'm like floored. I'm like, you guys took time out of y'all schedule to listen to me, listen to me babble endlessly about these Cowboys. I'm flattered. I don't think that, oh man, I got it going on. These folks are listening to me. I'm like, you guys want to listen to me? I'm flattered by it, because I'm like, wow, there are people on here that actually come on here every night and listen to me babble as if I'm somebody special. I'm just a regular dude with a laptop and a mouth that continues to run or whatever. And I'm flattered by that. And so I will never let that go to my head because people don't have to listen to you. No, people don't have to do anything for you. So I'm just saying, that's the thing, man. And I appreciate you guys for coming and joining in the stream with me tonight. And like I said, I'm gonna kind of go ahead and end it tonight. But I just want to share that with you. I'll try to give you a little bit of, a little extra stuff in addition to football, because football is always, and sports in general is tied to life. There's life lessons to be learned anytime you you play a game because you have to lean and depend on other people. You have to believe in other people. You kind of have to be selfless, and you have to do something then it don't benefit you. You might benefit somebody else. So it all ties in together, except when it comes to Jerry Jones. And so we'll see. It looks like we're in due for another, crack, another bite of the same apple we was chewing on last year. So we'll see how that gut does. And this is the third time, Uncle Fred. Yeah. Cowboy Nation Danny, appreciate you coming by saying me, mine, and more. Always the satin Jerry Jones button in the way with Jerry, Uncle Fred. Yeah, you're right. You are correct. Welcome, Scott Johnson. I've not seen you in the thing. I've not, but I appreciate you joining the stream with us, man. Like I said, I don't take that lightly, man, because I'm going to tell you something. There's another thing that I do. I always like to point to other guys that are doing what I do, that are either smaller than me or maybe just a little larger than me, that give you another angle to the media, other than the mass media thing, which we call this like small media, whether I'm talking about Cowboy Fan Talk, which is a guy that I watch sometimes, whether it's these two guys, Brandon and I can't think the other guys, Frankly Football. They got a small channel like us, and they talk about different things. I watched one of his episodes tonight, and I always give them encouragement to keep it up, man, because it's hard to do this and build these things from the ground. I encourage you guys to support other cowboy content creators that are out doing this, that are out, giving you content, giving you perspectives on these things, whether it be Vosh Lombardi, William Skywalker Steele, whether it be Law Nation or any of those guys. I always try to push those other guys because we're all in this thing together. And, and none of us, try to be any bigger than the other. We're just in this thing together. And I know I'm small potatoes, but even me, I try to push other guys that are doing this thing. So I encourage you guys to look at some of these other guys too that have these channels that give you some perspectives, maybe even different than mine. So without anything else, what you got, Sky? Said I love the Cowboys. I also love knowledge of the game. Yeah, and I do too. Man. You're real and say the yeah. I try to be real. I don't try to sugarcoat nothing. Dang, your things went up. Rolling. I don't try to sugarcoat nothing, man. I try to give you the real thing. Tell you exactly what I'm thinking. I think I can give you sometimes more than some other people because I've seen this thing for so many years. There's so many like Crypt Keeper. He's been around a little longer than me. My bad, dude. My bad. Been around a little longer than me. A lot of times when you've been around and seen some things, you can give a perspective that maybe somebody didn't see the glory years, didn't see the 1 in 15 year in 1989, or didn't see the glory years of the 70s, which I saw that too. And understand how this measures up to that kind of stuff. And I always think that anytime you got a historical perspective, you can always add some context to things that are going on now and things like that. They always want to bury the old things. And I always think there's always treasures. If you dig just a little bit, there's treasures to be found, But let's see here. Any more here? You're the best, man. You making me blush, man. Don't tell me that, man. You make me blush. I just think I'm a dude that just loves the Cowboys, and I just like being able to share what I know, and I get stuff from you guys, and I listen to you guys. Appreciate you, Scott Johnson. Listen, man, if you like the stream, please and like what you hear, please like the stream and share it with some other folk. Get people to subscribe. I be saying sometimes, I know on my Sunday stream, I had over 5,000 people watch my stream, and you talking about somebody that was like, what's the little boy Kevin on the movie? I was like this. I said 5,000 people listen to me, and those 5,000 people were all hurting, man. They were in disbelief, but I just couldn't believe 5,000 people were watching my stream. And it pushed algorithms that I would be happy to have 40, 50 people watch my stream. And I'm like, I'm happy. 5,000 people, man. Like at this point, it's like 5,400 people were watching that stream. And I was saying, dang, why couldn't 50 of all them 54 have subscribed? And, it'd been good. But so I'll tell you guys, if you like the stream, share it with some other folks, please, and tell them to subscribe, man. And as I get, a little more, I'll try to put out better stuff, man. I'll try to put out some better stuff. I'll try to do better. I didn't go with Bob Hayes was in place in Ring of Honor. Bob Hayes was placed in Ring of Honor. Oh, so you remember when Bob Hayes? How old are you, Roland? If I could ask, if you don't want to tell me, you don't have to. But that's because I don't even remember Bob Hayes. I just remember watching the videos from because he played in the Ice Bowl, the 2 Ice Bowl games in 66 and 67. Those are the year I was born, fella. So I obviously wasn't watching no football then. But it was weird because I saw him running the pass routes with his hands in his pants because his hands were cold. They didn't have the modern technology of little hand warmers or even little pockets on their jerseys like they have now. But I remember watching that. Bob Hayes, I remember watching the film. Man, the dude was the fastest dude in the NFL, man. And it was amazing that he got an opportunity to play for the Cowboys and everything. Wish we could have won a Super Bowl for him. Jobu. Yes, Mark Holmes. He was the first Cowboy content creator that I started watching, man. Love me some Mark Holmes. Love me some Mark Holmes, man. Yeah. And I was wanting to really, reach out to him to see if he could help me build mine because I love how he's got his built, man. Him and I are around the same age, and everything. And so, yeah, I love Mark Holmes. I failed to mention him, but he was the very first content creator that I watched, man. I love me some Mark Holmes, man. That's a good dude, man. That's a good dude. Good dude, man. I remember him going to the tailgate at the Commanders game, and there was somebody got punched right in front of him. That was kind of crazy. I'm like, Dad, Mark, you starting riots. Let's see. Roland says, I went to the Cotton Bowl when the boys played the Eagles. Wow. You got a lot, man. You got a lot invested in this thing, man. You got a lot, man. And I think sometimes when people are running these organizations, they don't understand how much sweat and time equity we have in this thing. And for you to just do what you want, and it'll be to the ruination of the team. And we gotta, and yeah, we're actually providing you the opportunities to do this because you can't do this without our money. Can't do any of this without our money, man. Okay, I will try to do that, man. Yeah, I'll be wanting to do that, man, because I know he's doing some stuff with a Game Time Brian because he's got a small channel. That's one of his boys that he's been trying to do. And man, he's an inspiration to me because this is a dude with a full-time job and goes to different places and works on his house and do all this stuff and still makes 3, 4, 5 videos a day. And I'm like, man, I don't know where you got that kind of energy, man. But yeah, he's one of my favorites. Love me some Mark Holmes. But anyhow, that's all I got, man, for you guys tonight, man. Like I said, please like the stream, share it with some other folks, subscribe to the stream if you're just coming on. Like I said, I try to, give you a real perspective, as Rolando just tries to say. I try to give you real. I don't try to fluff it up with a lot of big talk. I just tell you what I think, man, what I see. And then a lot of time when you tell me stuff that you see, and I'm like, yep, a lot of time that's confirmation because we done seen a lot of stuff. But we'll catch you guys. I'm not sure I'm gonna be here again tomorrow night because unfortunately I got to go back to work tomorrow, and I usually get off about midnight, and sometimes I don't have the energy to get up at midnight and put a video together. So maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see. But I know one thing, we'll do me and my cousin TK will do a pick'em show on Saturday with the remaining playoff teams. So if you want to join in that and chime in with that, we pick them. We try to pick the teams up based on what we've seen and that sort of thing. So I don't know what time it'll be, but it'll be Saturday. And of course, if you set the notifications, they'll let you know when we go live. So without further ado, man, we'll bring this live stream to an end, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. God bless, man, and we'll catch you guys on the next time.